Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me well and you're all settled. Welcome to our second installment of the new A360 Hangouts. Today we'll be covering new features in A360 like the calendar, markup enhancements, and more. My name is Allison Gearing-Klein and I'm on the product marketing team for A360. Our webinar today will be presented by Rahul Bhandarkar, Senior Product Manager of A360 here at Autodesk. Rahul is a Senior Product Manager for A360 focused on the web experience. He has almost 20 years of experience in building and managing software products and teams. And with A360, he's really passionate about providing a world-class design and collaboration experience for all of you users. Rahul joined Autodesk in June 2015, and he's based out of the Hyderabad, India office. Today, Rahul will walk through the ins and outs of these new and enhanced features, and we'll be able to answer all your burning questions at the end during a Q&A session. And we'll also have our customer success team here on the Q&A, Brett Wright and Bud Schroeder, and they'll be on the line to help guide the Q&A session at the end. Before we get started, a few things about today's session. The webinar is scheduled for 1 hour, and we saved 20 minutes at the end for that Q&A. And if you have questions for that session, you can just type them into the chat box here, and we'll try our best to answer all of them. If we don't end up getting to all of them during the session, we'll make sure to follow up with answers via email. And you can write to us at this email here at aska360@autodesk.com. The webinar is also being recorded, and we'll be sending you a link to the video within 48 hours. So thank you, and now we'll turn it over to our presenter, Rahul.
Cool, thank you, Allison. So today I'm going to cover some of the basics of A360, and then the way I've structured it is I'll take the first about 10 minutes or so to talk about what is A360, what's the value proposition, what problem it's solving for our customers, because I realize a lot of attendees might be new to A360, so I want to just take some time to explain that. And then I'll take the next about 10-15 minutes or so getting into some of the main features we've been working on in the last couple of months since we had the last webinar in November. And then, like Allison said, we'll reserve enough time for Q&A. And of course, I'll do a quick slide deck, and then I'll get into the product as well and show you some of the features and do a live demo. So let's get into it. Okay, so what is A360? So Autodesk customers come from various industries, architecture, engineering, construction, BIM, manufacturing, media, etc. And what's universally true about Autodesk customers is that they work in teams and they work on projects. Right? So let's think about everything that's involved in taking a project from concept to reality. Autodesk has typically served designers and engineers, right? But if you think about projects, there's all kinds of other people that contribute to making the whole project happen. And these people use different kinds of tools, which effectively create different kinds of artifacts and different kinds of data. And then there's project conversations and activities and decisions that all happen within the context of a project. And then there's even more stuff to keep track of. And dealing with all of this is time-consuming and highly inefficient. And what's been missing is a good infrastructure to manage all of this. Right? So traditionally, email has been the primary form of communication for exchanging messages, but it's really easy to lose information on a project if you're just using email. There's other forms of communication tools like instant messaging and so on. On the storage side, we have shared file storage solutions. Typically, a lot of our customers use FTP or Dropbox or Box and things like that. But then that's only about files, right? These solutions don't really understand your design data in the same way that Autodesk does. And these file storage solutions are not really about activities and conversations. They're not about the team. They're strictly about files. Then there's the third category of tools, which are more of the enterprise collaboration tools such as SharePoint and so on, but they only work well for folks that are behind a firewall. So what A360 does is basically place the project at the center, and it connects people, data, and activities in one single location in the cloud. Right, so it organizes and provides access to all your project information, not just design data. It offers a great user experience on every single device. Mobile, we have support for iOS, Android, iPad, etc. And finally, it's not just about designers, it's about everyone that's working on your project. So, like I said, A360 is a cloud-based collaboration platform that places powerful collaboration tools in the hands of designers, engineers, general contractors, vendors, etc. So whoever is part of your project. There's no install needed. Anyone with a browser has access to all of their design data and project information. Right? So imagine a world where all these conversations and activities around your projects are captured in one place, where people don't need any special tools, any installations to get access to the information in their design data, right? Where people can search project information like we search the internet today. Where design data is really easy to access and explore visually, and I'll show you that in the product demos, how all this rich information is represented in one place. And where project collaboration is really easy, so the whole project team can contribute to it. So let me give you a flavor of what A360 brings to the table in terms of feature sets. So I've tried to encapsulate the primary features of A360 here, so I'll kind of walk you through some of the main things. So let's start with the data and the project-centric design. So when you sign up for A360, you get into a hub, right? A hub is basically your central workspace. And then within this workspace, users create projects. And then they organize content within these projects based on their needs. And users can invite other users to start contributing on their projects. So the experience in A360 is really centered around the user's data. So we have really rich thumbnail views that allow for a variety of quick actions like download and share, etc., in addition to basic file operations. And this is done right from the data view. We have a really awesome, rich, immersive viewer for viewing 3D designs that allow users to explore your designs in great detail. It has basic options like pan, zoom, rotate, but then you can it also has advanced options like sectioning and walkthroughs, etc., depending on the file type. And we support over 50 types of design file formats and over 100 file types in general. It's really easy to create a quick public link for your design file and then share it across, either with a vendor or a customer or any stakeholder for that matter. A360 understands and organizes your relationship data within the design file. So it has a very nice overview screen where users can walk up the hierarchy, explore parts and sub-assemblies, or in the case of a Revit file, sheets or 2D views, etc. And it's completely built for distributed teams. Right? So what that means is all you need is a browser to get your project data. Data lives in the cloud. There is no need to be in the core network or install any special software. So this is designed from the ground up for distributed teams. A360 also supports versioning of files and basic data management capabilities. So for example, each time one of your project members uploads new versions, the team is notified of that update. Users can switch between versions of the design. And we're just getting started, right? So in future, we plan to expand this to really advanced data management capabilities such as branching and merging and so on. And lastly, the design review markup, and this is one of the cool features that we've introduced in the last couple of months, and we're just getting started with the whole process here. So we support design review workflows using features such as comments and markup today. And as you've noticed, if you're an A360 user, we're putting out product releases every 2 weeks. So you'll continuously see new enhancements in that area around markups and the whole design review workflow. All of these comments are accessible through a comments panel that lives right alongside your design in the viewer. And we're planning to extend these in future to improve on that. For example, one of the requests from customers has been, hey, we want to have a status on comments, right? Whether it's open or closed, or we want to have richer design review workflows to make the entire workflow fast and seamless. So this is something that's on our roadmap. We're continuously working to improve that. Live review is another really cool feature. So if you think about design reviews, it typically happens in two modes, right? There's the asynchronous mode, the asynchronous workflow where you might attach some comments or markup to a design, and then maybe mention somebody on your team to provide to ask for requests for feedback, right? And that's the asynchronous workflow. But in the live review case, it's really a synchronous or real-time review. So you can just generate a link for your design file, send out this link to a bunch of users, and these users don't necessarily have to be on your project. So you can send it out to anybody who's not even on A360. It's an anonymous workflow. These users can then jump into the real-time live review session, and then together you can explore the model using the rich immersive viewer that we have. And there is a chat capability in there as well. So this effectively helps the team make faster decisions. And in general, I think there are a list of enhancements planned to live review, and we've had this feature for about, I want to say 4 to 5 months now, and we've gathered a lot of feedback from users around this. So a couple of features that customers have asked for is, one is, hey, I want to be able to enable presenter mode on this, right? Today it's kind of everybody who has control over the model, and they can all sort of rotate the model and examine, etc. But presenter mode, ability to have live review on specific viewables. For example, you just want to have a live review on a specific sheet on your Revit file, not the entire file, etc. Or even the ability to have reviews on multiple files and not just one. So these are all planned enhancements all around the live review feature. And lastly, there's a bunch of other project collaboration features. These allow you to capture project data. Wiki pages is an example where our customers have used it for documenting specifications or any kind of process documentations. Some teams use it to document how their projects are organized, etc. It's very free form and very flexible. One other feature we recently introduced is calendar. And that's been a highly requested feature from our customers who have been using A360 in the past, because it helps them keep track of key project milestones in one place. Right, so I'll cover that in my product demo later on. And finally, just what's coming up here is a feature we call discussions, which is basically the central place to capture all your project conversations. So initially, we'll probably lead with project level messages, and then enhance it to sort of stream all kinds of project conversations in one single place. Okay, so that was a quick whirlwind tour of A360 and what it is. And now I'd like to take the next 10 minutes or so just going through some of the key features we've developed in A360 in the last couple of months, and then we'll dive into the product. So I want to cover four features, the first of which is markups. So we've enabled markup mode or markup comments on both 2D and 3D designs. The markup tool is part of the toolbar in the viewer. When the user enters markup mode, we basically freeze the view, expose a set of tools with various shapes, options, rectangle, color, the revision cloud that we added recently, and so on. And then once you submit a markup, it's a markup comment essentially that ends up in the comments panel right next to your design. and other project members can then reply back. They can provide feedback. You can mention somebody from the comments panel and so on. And as future enhancements, like I said, we want to extend this markup workflow to include more of the design review workflows. And then there are the future enhancement that you'll see coming up in the next few weeks here is we want to retain markup on 2D. So one of the customer requests has been, hey, you know, once I made a markup on a 2D file, I just wanted all the markups to sort of overlay on top of each other. So I want to see all the markups in one view on my 2D sheet. So that's coming up as well. Ultimately, I think we'll need bidirectional workflows, you know, where a markup version can be imported back into your tool. And so that's the end goal, so that users can look at feedback and make any adjustments right from within the tool. The next one is measure, and we have support for both measure for 2D and 3D. And currently, I should point out that there is an ongoing issue with 2D measure that our team is fixing right as we speak right now. But I'll still give you a tour of how that works. It works for some files, not for others, but we're working to resolve that. 3D measure currently supports, or is enabled just for Fusion, but we do have plans to support that for other file types in future as well. Right. So this is a great feature. You know, great use case for manufacturing is, you know, you can just send off your 3D design, a link to a public share link to your 3D design to the machine shop, and then they can use the measure tools to sort of explore the design that you sent them. Okay. The next one is called progressive translation. So what does that mean? So let me give you a little background. So when a user uploads a file into A360 today, there is a translation process that basically processes the file and all its viewables, sheets, 3D views, etc. So that they can be displayed inside that rich viewer. In the past, we would wait until all the viewables are ready before allowing the users to view the file. Right? So if you upload a huge Revit file, which is 2-3 gigs and has hundreds of sheets, in the past, users would upload the file and they would have to just wait for a long time until all the data in the file was accessible in the viewer. So with progressive translation, what we've done is we basically make these sheets or viewables available as soon as they're translated individually. So we keep track, we track individual viewables, and then the user has access to them before the rest of the file is, while the rest of the file is still being translated. Right? So this saves users a lot of time and makes the whole process more efficient. And I'll do a quick demo of this as well. Users can jump into the viewer and start exploring sheets right away while the file is still being translated. In addition, one more little feature that we added is desktop notifications. So when you upload a file, we give you an option to sign up for desktop notifications, and when the file is ready to be viewed, you'll get a desktop notification saying the file is ready. So you don't have to constantly go back to your data view and check on progress. We'll notify you when it's done. Right? So it's these small but powerful enhancements in the user experience that I think make A360 a really awesome tool for managing all your project data. Okay, and finally, like I was saying, calendar, we just released it a few weeks ago. So what's the value proposition of calendar? So a typical construction project has several teams, right? They have architecture, you have structural, you have MEP, in addition you have vendors, contractors, subcontractors, etc. That they often belong to different organizations or companies. And each of these teams might have their own calendar tools or solutions that they use in their own individual companies, right? So somebody might use Outlook, use Google Calendar, etc. And so there's no common way for all of these teams to share a common project calendar to track key project milestones. And that's the problem that the A360 calendar solves. It gives you one place to track all your project milestones, regardless of what your role is on the project, which company, whether you're inside the company, whether you're a project contributor that's coming from an external company, a vendor, subcontractor, etc. It's one view for what's coming up on your project. Right. So you can export the calendar as an ICS and then import it into Outlook or Google Calendar, etc. Cool. So with that, I'm going to dive into the product and just give you a tour of what A360 looks like, and then show you some of the features I've been talking about. Can you confirm that you can see my screen okay? Are you able to see the all projects listing page?
It looks good, Rahul.
Okay, cool. All right, so here I am in my personal hub in A360. So this is the home page or the landing page for A360. As you can see here, I have all my projects, and I can organize them by various filters. So typically our users, they have a couple of active projects that they're working on, they would, in this case this is already pinned. If you pin a project, it appears under this filter called pinned. So you can pin a project, unpin it. If you're done working on the project, then you can archive it, in which case it actually goes to an archive tab. You also have shared with me, so there's a filter for projects that have been shared with you, and this is a list of projects that I own. So let's get into one of the projects, and I'll show you a sample design. Here you go. So this is the data view. So here's all the data in my project. This is a samples design project. I've organized it by creating some folders, and then here's just a quick view of it. This is a thumbnail view of the data page, which shows you the various file formats. So I have DWGs, I have F3Ds in here, I have Fusion files, I have some DWFX, etc. So this is the rich thumbnail view I was referring to earlier. And so we've enabled some key actions from the thumbnails here, like share, or you can export, download, and then there's basic file move operations here as well. On the right hand side, you will see what we refer to as the project inspector. So this is some details on your project, people in your project. You can invite other people by just typing in an email address, and this will send off an email invite to users to join your project. This is a quick view of everybody that's in my project right now. The activity feed basically keeps you up to date on what's happening on your project right now. So you can see events like a new file was uploaded, or somebody made a comment on an existing file, a new version was uploaded, etc. We're working to enhance this activity feed. So there's some events today that are not quite surfaced. For example, I think if you add a calendar event or delete an event, that's not surfacing today. So there's some work to be done, but basically this activity feed provides users a way to basically keep a tab on, okay, what's going on in my project, right? So let me switch back to one of my sample projects, and I will walk you through some features that I was talking about earlier. So let's get into the specific folder, and let's upload a file. So I go to upload file, and here you'll notice you have a choice of uploading either a file or an entire folder. You can upload assemblies, and I'm kind of rushing through this a little bit because I want to have a lot to cover today. But if you have questions, definitely feel free to ping us, post it on the forums, and Bud and Brett and myself and the team will be happy to help you, walk you through all of this stuff. We have integration with Dropbox. If you have some of your files in Dropbox, you can just point it to those files, and then we'll import it from there. So let me go to one of my sample design files I have here. Okay, so this is the desktop notifications I was talking about earlier. So when you try to upload a file, it'll ask you, you want to enable notifications for upload, and I say, yeah, enable, allow, and you'll see here that the upload is already up to 82%. I hope my screen is refreshing in time. I'm not sure about that, but
Yeah, it is, Rahul. It's looking
okay.
good.
Okay,
See,
cool.
100% upload
Thanks.
now.
Thank you. Okay, so as soon as it's uploaded here, you should see a status on progress any moment. And while that's happening, let me just switch to the activity feed. It's not showing up yet. To on this page. Okay, let's do this. We'll come back to this. Let's do we'll go into a file and do some commenting and markup while this is still being refreshed. So let's get into this small medical facility file here. And we have, like I was saying, we have version support. So right now I'm looking at version 1 of the file here, but if you did have multiple versions, you would see a list of multiple versions, and then you can jump to any of those specific versions that you want to look at. So this is the rich immersive viewer I was talking about earlier. You can pan, zoom, rotate, and sort of explore your design in this view. On the left-hand side here, we have the model browser panel, which allows you to explore, in this case, as a 3D view, and then there's a bunch of sheets associated with this Revit file. And you can jump to any one of the sheets from this view. And down here you have a toolbar that allows you to, that depending on the file type, it presents options for you to explore your specific design. So let's get into the 3D view and then we'll do some markup. So there is this icon in the toolbar. It says comments and markup utilities, right? And so if I get into markup mode, so you'll see a bunch of options here. Doing a snapshot comment, a comment on an object, a comment on point, and then finally the new markup comment. So I choose markup. You basically get into the markup mode, and at this point we've frozen your screen. And then it provides you markup tools such as the freehand, arrow, a rectangle, circle, revision cloud, and text. Right? And then there's some options here to choose the color and the width. So let's do a couple of sample markups. There you go. So once you're done marking up, all you have to do is submit. And in the previous version, what we had was we would display a little icon here that says markup submitted, and then it was hard for users to discover what happened to the markup comment, right? So we listened to the user feedback, and what we've done here in the last release is we automatically expand the comments panel to display the markup that you just created. So in this case, as you notice, the comments panel pulled up, and then here's the markup that I just did. And here's some previous comments on that design that were made. And as you notice, we've also redesigned the comments panel with a new look. And this has primarily, we had two goals in mind with this. One was to, of course, update the look and feel of the comments panel. The other one was fix some of the issues around word wrapping. Some of the numbered markers had issues with it was getting squeezed and so on. So we fixed a bunch of this user experience type stuff with this specific design. And once you have, if you click on the specific markup, it will actually take you to, it'll overlay the markup that you just made on the design file. And here you can mention other folks on your team and ask them to come in and take a look at some of the stuff that you've requested feedback on. Okay. So that was markup. Let me jump back to the progressive translation because I want to show you that one specific file that I uploaded. And hopefully it shows up. Okay, there it is. Just try that one more time, just see if I can actually demonstrate the progressive translation bit. Maybe let's do a different file. So while that's uploading, let me switch back here to, I want to just show you a quick view of a Fusion design. Remember I was talking earlier about the rich views that we have for Fusion. So today we have additional support for Fusion designs in the sense that we understand relationships between parts and sub-assemblies, and we are able to display this in what we call as an overview page for the item. So here you'll see that this Ember product uses a bunch of sub-assemblies and parts. So you can see users used in this case this is the top line assembly, so it's not being used anywhere. You have drawings, and then you have related data that shows up for specific, if you have CAM and renderings, etc. Okay, so here you see the progressive translation in action, right? So once you've uploaded a file, now we tell you a status saying it's trying to figure out how many viewables or sheets there are inside the file, and you can go click on it, and it'll individually update the status on each of the sheets inside the file. In the past, once you uploaded a file like this, you would have to walk away and come back when the entire file is done. So here it's saying it found 19 viewables inside this Revit file. And if you expand the sheets, as the viewables are being processed, this will report progress, and then each of these sheets will, as they become available, you can actually click on them and load up the sheet in this viewer and start exploring, even before the entire file is done processing. Okay, so here it says 1 out of 19 viewables ready, and let's see, if you click on, and as it's done processing, we'll update the status here on the left panel. So here you'll see the A201 basement plan is actually done and it's ready for viewing. So let me click on that. So there. So you can now access the sheet while the rest of the file is still being translated. So imagine, you have a Revit file that has 200 sheets, right? And imagine how fast this would make it for users to actually go and start working on their specific sheet and not have to wait, 30-40 minutes for the entire file to be translated. So we are really excited about this feature. It's a really cool feature. I think that our users will appreciate because it just saves them a whole bunch of time. Okay. So let me jump on to the next feature I want to show you, which is measure. I think we have about 5 or 10 minutes left. Let me get back into my samples, and let's take a 2D file here to begin with. And like I mentioned before, there is an issue with 2D files today, so we're fixing it. But it works for some of the files, but it's not working on some DWFX files for some reason. So here you'll see this measure option in the toolbar, and once you turn that on, you can let's see. In this case, let's do an edge-to-edge measure. So you select one edge of this, and in this case it's 2.559 inches. So if there's a little properties icon here. So if you drop that down, you'll see a unit type for each of the measure. So you can change units if desired, and you can also select the precision. So in this case, it's set to 3 decimal places, and we support up to 5 decimal places. So you can do edge-to-edge, point-to-point, angles. So let me do this arc here. So this is saying that the edge is 0.846 inches in radius. Or if you let's do an angle here. So if I select 2 edges, it's going to show me the angle between the 2 edges. So yeah, we can also do point to point. So if you select 2 points, it will show you the distance between the points with the x and the y distances as well. So that's 2D. Let me switch over to a 3D and show you the 3D measure as well. So I'll pick this Lego helicopter that I have. And get into the immersive, the viewer. And here you can see I'm looking at version 3 of the Fusion design. And I can, in the case of Fusion, I can actually promote a previous version to the tip. Right? So if I do that, if I hit promote here, it's going to actually take this version 1 and make that the tip. So in version 2, yeah, so you can also you can see comments that I've made when I updated each of these versions. So in version 3, I made some fillets on the tail block here. So let's dig into the measure. So let's see. So in this case, I've selected the face. So it's saying it's 17 millimeters square. I can choose. Let's do an edge to edge. Okay, so here I've selected 2 edges, and it shows me the length of each edge and then the distance between the 2. And in this case, the unit type is millimeter, and the precision is 0.1. We can, of course, change that, like I was saying. And if you change the precision, you see that it changed it to 3.175. So here I've selected 2 faces, so it shows the angle between the 2 faces, and you'll notice a tilde here, which basically indicates that these measures are accurate, but there is some loss of precision because of the fact that we have to do that translation process and extract the geometry out and present it to the viewer in a way that it can render. So that's the reason we have a tilde before each of the measures that you present here. I really like this isolate measurement. So if you choose that, it'll basically just isolate it to the two parts that you've chosen to measure and sort of just gray out the rest of the model. So that's kind of cool. Okay, and let me finally jump into the calendar feature. So up on the top nav, you'll see a couple of options. You see your data, which is basically all my folder and all my design files that I've just been navigating through. And then there's a new option for calendar. So it's a really basic, simple calendar today, which allows you to create events. So if you just pick a day and just click on it, it'll bring up a little event pop up, and you choose a start and end date and time. Put in some information there, and then it will create an event for you on the calendar. And now this event is visible to every single project member in your project. Right? So it's a simple tool right now. We may enhance it based on what you guys think, but right now, it has a minimum calendar functionality. It allows you to create events. You can export this in as ICS. And it just allows all your project members to basically stay connected as to what's coming up in terms of project milestones. So I think that's what I had in mind to cover in terms of project features. I think we have about 15 minutes left. Should we open it up for some questions?
Yeah, we have a lot of great questions on the line here. So thanks for the presentation, Rahul. And I'll just read you one of the first questions. Is there a plan to merge BIM 360 Docs or some of their features to A360 Hub?
So yeah, we get this question a lot. I think the way to think about it is that A360 is really broad-based collaboration, right? It's a really simple way for you to get started. Now, BIM 360 Docs has advanced capabilities for managing approval processes. It's really optimized for BIM workflows. And yes, there are a lot of features in common, but I think the way to think about it is A360 is really broad-based collaboration. We support a lot of different file formats, and BIM 360 is really geared towards specific BIM workflows.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is, when uploading Revit files, how does it deal with linked models?
So today there's no indication of the fact that files are linked in a Revit file. But we are working on a project where we will start understanding those relationships for every single file type, right? So the example I showed you with Fusion earlier, where if you loaded up a Fusion design, you could see the relationships between assemblies and parts. You could see how drawings were related. You could see if the design has renderings, or if it has CAM tool paths, sim studies, etc. All of that rich information was displayed. And the reason it is displayed is because we store Fusion data in a special data repository. And currently only Fusion data is stored there. But you have projects lined up where we're going to use that data repository to store all kinds of files. And when we do support that for Revit files, then we will start seeing information about linked files and whatever other relationships there are between within the viewables and other things in Revit files. We'll start surfacing that on A360. But today, all you can see is basically the viewables, which are sheets and 2D views and 3D views.
Okay, perfect. So Another question here is, can all team members see all markups? Is there a way to control who sees which markup?
That's a great question. So today, yes, today I think it's a trust model, right? So we don't have granular permissions built in terms of who can see what. Once you invite people into your project, they essentially have access to the design files. They have access to all the comments that are attached to a design file, etc., all the markups, etc., everything. We do realize that there is a customer need to be able to basically control that whole design review process. So there is a need for you to say, for our customers to say, okay, I want to kick off a design review on a specific file or maybe a set of files. And then I want to invite a set of reviewers into this sort of design share, if you will, and then have that set of reviewers access to just those set of files. And then when they make markups and comments and so on, they should be able to see each other's comments, but then they cannot see comments that are made on the underlying file, because maybe there's an entire team that's sort of evolving that file while a specific version of the design is being reviewed, right? So we don't have that today. So the short answer is we don't have that today. Today everybody can see everything within a project, but we have plans to add permissions at the project level in terms of roles. So introducing a view-only role. So there's been other requests where customers have said, we just want to create an area where people can just view. They can't come in and edit files. So we're working on some projects for enhancing the permissions model, as well as enhancing the whole design review process, where you have the ability to share files with the intent of getting a design review done. Right. So that's coming up. That's really high on our priority list for this year, in the next few quarters. So stay tuned for updates in that areas.
Great. And this sort of follows what you were just talking about, but in live review with a Revit file, they said it appears that only the 3D view can be shared. Can sheets be used in live review as well?
No, today they cannot. So today we don't support live review on specific viewables on a sheet. So you can only kick off a live review on the Revit file. That's been yet another customer request, is I want to be able to kick off, and this is the same, I mean it's a review process, right, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. What I was describing earlier was the asynchronous process, where you create a share and then you have comments and markup and so on. And now we're applying the same concept to a live review session, where you're saying, first of all, I want to have a live review specifically on this sheet and not on the entire file, because my file has 200 sheets and I just want to review like 2 or 3 of those sheets, for example. So yeah, that's also on our product roadmap, to be able to kick off a review session on specific viewables within a file, but it's not there yet, but it's on our roadmap.
Okay, great. Another question on sheets is, someone's asking if they upload 10 PDFs and their sheets 1 through 10, they'll end up in the file in the same order that they uploaded them in. So they're asking, is there a way to sort sheets by number?
We actually did make some improvements in that area. So if you're still not seeing it work the way you expect, send me a note, because we've done some work in that area. So let me pop open a sheet here, and actually I'll open a different one, because this has a whole bunch of sheets. Yeah, so the answer to the question is we have done a lot of work in that area in terms of the ability to sort in natural order all your sheets in the Revit file. So if you're still seeing problems in sorting, let us know and we'll take a look at it.
Great.
So here I just popped up on a sheet. Sorry, Alison, I just wanted to highlight this. So here's a sheet which has, or excuse me, a file which has 243 sheets. and as you can see here, they're all sorted. So yeah, let us know if you see a problem with sorting.
Okay.
Hey, Rahul, just one further question on that. Sorry, Allison. Is that's dependent upon how the sheets are named prior to being uploaded? Is that right?
Yeah, it does depend on the way sheets are named. So we try our best to basically sort in natural order, right? So
Okay.
there could be, you're right, there could be some discrepancies based on how sheets are named. So maybe in some cases they don't appear in the order that the user expects, but we are sorting sheets by natural sorting order today.
Got it.
So
okay.
you should see numbered, if you have dashes like 03, 03, 04, and so on, like you're seeing here, it should appear in the right order.
And you're showing a Revit file there, but I think the customer was asking about a PDF, and it's the same there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, sheets within a PDF.
Yeah.
I don't think we do sorting on sheets inside of a PDF today. So sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Unless they're named separately and separately uploaded, right? So if I uploaded or if I created sheets named in a PDF sheets named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and uploaded those, they would come up in order, or at least I could do a top field sort in order to reorder them. Correct.
That's right. For PDF files, we basically today we just use the native PDF viewer that the browser has.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't really go in and try to sort your sheets today.
Got it. Okay.
So they would appear in the order that they were created, I think.
Gotcha. Great. Thanks. Back to you, Allison. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that was great. Thanks. So someone else said they really liked the sample models you've been using, Rahul. Is it possible to add some of these to the current sample folder that's provided in the A360 Hub?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the entire question, Allison. Can you please repeat? So with the what model? The template?
The sample models that you've used today, will we be able to add those to the demo folder of sample models that users can use?
Oh, I see. Got it. Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have been thinking about this. We see a lot of our customers not accessing the samples, right? So we've been tracking, how could we enhance the samples that we put on when you first sign up to A360. So we have some ideas floating around on how to enhance those, using Fusion designs or maybe a variety of different, files that have maybe include some markups in there, or maybe have a sample that already has comments included, etc. So yeah, we have it on our list to sort of enhance the samples library. But if you have specific samples that you liked during this presentation, shoot me an email and we'll see if we can get in there.
Great. And so, Bud and Brett, I want to give you guys some time to ask some of the questions you've been seeing on the chat forum too.
Here's a good one for you, Rahul. They would like to know what type of encryption is used to data when it's posted up to A360.
So the connection is all SSL, so it's standard SSL encryption secure line. As far as how the data is encrypted when it's stored, I'd have to get back to you on that. But in terms of just how, like during the upload process, it's all SSL encrypted. So.
I've got a question. So I've got a customer dialed in from Italy, and Rahul, I'm sure you can assume their question. They're saying, hey, A360 doesn't work very well in Italy. And and I think it's specific to the collaboration for Revit side of things. So I know that that's typically something to do with, I don't know, maybe you can respond to that. Because I know that collaboration for Revit is worldwide now, but I don't know if you have any other insight on that.
Just in terms of latency and speed, is that the question?
It might be. So I think what you're saying is that yes, it's worldwide available, so there might be an issue. If there is an issue, certainly you guys, whoever's sent that question in, I'll be sure to respond to. But you can post a question in this collaboration for Revit forum, and the team can look into that a little bit deeper. But C4R is available.
Yeah, I mean, there might be issues. You know, if you're sort of uploading large files. You might hit into issues with just latency and bandwidth and so on when you're doing it, you know, across the world. But like progressive translation, I think is a good example of just some of the enhancements we made to sort of that experience, the whole upload experience, the ability to view your file sooner. We have heard some reports from customers on download, for example, if they're downloading, you know, 4 or 5 gig files, Revit files, they run into issues sometimes, and so we have it. We have a log of these issues that we want to troubleshoot. Sometimes we run into issues with just Amazon S3, network connectivity issues, and so on.
Sure.
So there's always that, but there's no known issues on the C4R side that I could speak to. That
gotcha. Here's another question. You just mentioned size of file. Is there? It used to be, or we've typically you know, published at 2 gig. Is the you know, maybe a top end of a file that individual file or assembly that you would upload? Has that been upgraded or updated now to a higher number? You talked to that. There's a couple of questions on that here in the queue.
Okay, we have had customers uploading upwards of, I want to say, between 3 to 4 gigs. So I'm not entirely sure what the limit is right now. I want to say it's about at least 4 to 5 gigs, but I will confirm that and my engineering team and get back. Yeah,
I can share a little on that too, because I've actually done some research on that and logged a couple of issues. About 3 to 3.5 gigs is where we start having problems, and it works fine. And some of these are also, there are limitations from the operating system itself on uploading from a browser, so that can be part of it.
And so when you say, Bud, that we start having issues with that, just to clarify, does that mean that, like, translation time's out, or is it just?
It uploads and then the file goes away.
Got it.
So it looks like it's completed, but it never completes. And the magic number seems to be about 3.5 gigs.
Great, thank you. Another question here for you on calendar, Rahul. Customer's asking, is there a way for a user to subscribe to the calendar via Outlook or Apple Calendar?
The only way to do that is today is just basically import the A360 calendar, or excuse me, export it as ICS, and then you can import it into your Outlook. But there's no bidirectional sync, so it's one way. So you can export from A360, import it into there, but if you, yeah, they're not in sync as such. And that's been one of the customer requests as well, to offer that bidirectional sync.
Right.
So, it's not something that's high on our priority list right now. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, there's a lot of other pressing issues, or not issues, but features that customers have really asked for around permissions and better design review workflows and such. So that's sort of been, that's going to be our focus, at least for the short term.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, it looks like it's 10:30, so I'll turn it back over to you, Allison, but before I go, I wanted to let people know that Bud and myself, we will stay on the call. We'll hang up on the audio, but we will stay on the call and answer as many of these questions as we can that are coming into the queue. So if you do maintain or stay on the actual go-to meeting, you'll see a question pop up. Just wanted to let you know. Back to you, Allison.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rahul, for a great presentation, and thanks, Bud and Brett, for being here to answer all the questions. So again, if you have follow-up questions and you can't stay on the line now, you can always email us at aska360@autodesk.com. And we have a few links for some helpful resources here. We have our blog and our forum where you can go in and talk to Bud and Brett and other members of our customer success team to ask questions about the product. We'll also follow up via email with these links, and we'll also include the link to the recording of this webinar, so you can watch it anytime. So thanks again for attending today, and we will see you next time.